This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
No, man, listen, we appreciate this context. You've never really told your story, not into this detail. I do want to ask, you were really close with Pat Patterson. Obviously he was really close with both Brett and Sean. He did not know, you did know. Did it affect y'all's friendship? Was he upset with you?
Well, I'm going to get into that with part 2 here coming up, if you'll allow me a couple extra minutes.
Sure. Please do.
No. All right, so now the next morning, we still got a job to do. We got to film day 2 of TV, Actually, day 1 of TV, we just did a pay-per-view, so we had to film another day of TV, and that's a 3-hour drive. There's 4 of us in the car, and the 4 of us in the car, only one knew the story, the whole story, what was going on, and that was me. So I'm keeping my mouth shut. I think that day, for some reason, Bruce is the world's most horrible driver, as you probably know.
Yep.
He's driving. JR sitting next to him, and me and Pat are in the back seat. So we get in the car, not a word. We set the standard time like we do every trip. Okay, meet down in the lobby at such and such time. Well, we instead of leaving regular time, we elected to leave about a half hour early, just break the routine, just in case there's trouble down there, and there would be less people there. So we met down there about a half hour early. We skipped breakfast, didn't go to breakfast or anything like that. So we're headed out of town. And Connie, I got to tell you, man, that we get in that car and it's like you're at a funeral service. There isn't a breath or a word uttered. Everybody's kind of just holding their breath to see who's going to be the first one who says anything. Nobody's saying a thing. Everybody's kind of, So we were getting out, as you know, up in Canada, they got a great place called Tim Horner's. We all like Tim Horner's. I love their bear claws. Have you ever tried a Tim Horner bear claw?
I have not. We don't have those in Alabama.
Well, we don't have them in Florida, but if you ever wander, venture, and you see a Tim Horner, you got to eat yourself a bear claw. You'll probably have them flown down every holiday for you. So anyway, I said, hey, man, let's pull over and get Tim Horner's, and I don't drink coffee. And I said, you get a Tim Horner's, and I get a Diet Coke. Nobody said a damn word. It's like silence in a word. So we pull over. We go in Tim Horner's. I get my Bear Claw. I get my Diet Coke. And Bruce gets his Diet Coke and 3 or 4 Bear Claws. JR gets his coffee, and Pat gets his coffee, and we go back, and we get in the car. We're about an hour into the trip. Still nobody said a damn word. And finally, JR speaks up. I didn't know nothing about this stuff. Did you guys know? And Pat looked, well, I did the match, and Pat's a French accent, and I didn't know nothing. I'm so pissed off. I'm so hurt. I didn't know nothing. How can I even face Brett or Sean on this thing? Going into just raving. Hey, look at Bruce. Bruce said, I know nothing. And now it comes my turn to pass up. These are my ever-loving best friends, kind of, that I'm riding with, And my mama raised me to tell the truth, so it got to my turn, and I said, hey, Brisco, did you know? I said, I got to admit, I knew. And, well, boy, when I said that, I thought I was in the old Coliseum where they just let the lions out, to devour the gladiators out in the Coliseum floor there. And so the question started, well, why didn't you tell? Hey, man, I couldn't, I couldn't tell anybody. And I think JR was hurt more and he was pissed off at me. Of course, Bruce was pissed off because, as you know, Bruce got to know everything or it don't happen, unless Bruce knows it, And Pat was just heartbroken that he didn't know, because it was his match. And I had asked Vince the night before. I'll digress a little bit. I asked Vince the night, Vince, why are you asking me to do this? And he looked at me right in the eyes. He said, Gerald, you're the only one I can trust to do it 100%. I can't go to Pat. Even though I trust Pat with everything, Pat would break under the pressure because he's such good friends with Brett. and he wouldn't want any heat with Brett, so he would crack under the pressure. And so, and he said, JR's had a talent. I don't want him. Vince was protecting JR.
Yeah.
He said, I don't want JR to do it because he's had a talent, and I don't want all the heat on him. He said, I know you can handle the heat, and I know you'll get it done the right way. And that kind of gave me the confidence to do it the right way. So I kind of explained, I said, if you guys remember, after the production meeting, Vince asked me to stay. And Bruce said, I thought that was kind of weird. And he said, oh, by the way, where did you go at midnight? And I said, I went to Sean's room to talk to Sean about what we're going to do tonight. And you came back and you didn't tell me nothing. I said, Bruce, I couldn't. Vince asked me not to tell anybody, and there's something that I didn't think needed to be told in a bar room setting. We're in a bar drinking. And well, you told me, we could have come to my room. I said, Bruce, I asked not to share it with anybody. And it's something that I didn't want to get out because if it leaked, it'd been my fault, and I probably lost my job. And I said, I just wasn't going to tell anybody. So now they're all three of them are pissed off at me, and now it goes to silence again. So we're getting close to Ottawa. We're getting ready to pull up in the Ottawa building, and JR says something to start the conversation. Well, facing this town, it's going to be brutal. And as soon as we walked in, we got word that, of course, Mick Foley wasn't going to come to TV. And several others that had threatened not to come to TV. And but being professionals, everybody showed up. And I'm not saying Mick's not a professional because he was doing what he thought was the right thing to do, and I can't never blame anybody for doing what they feel is the right thing. So it's all but forgiven with Mick. So we just wanted him back. So we Vince. I think it was Taker that came to Vince and said, Vince, you're going to have a meeting with the entire talent roster that's here for TV today. And at that time, everybody came to all the TV. So we had the meeting. Of course, Brett is gone. So, and the meeting, so I'm it's to the talent too. So Vince gets up there. Vince calls me into his office in Ottawa and says, hey, I got to get up and I got to tell him the plan. He said, I can or I cannot use your name. It's up to you. Do you want me to say that you're the one that? I said, Vince, do whatever you have to do at the business, and I got I sooner or later I'm gonna have to face it. And I'd rather it come from you than come from me. Like I'm trying to jump on the bandwagon of what happened there. So he got up in the meeting and he kind of laid out the whole thing and why it had to happen. Brett we didn't want another incident where we're losing the championship belt and it gets thrown in the garbage, which I highly doubt that Brett would do something like that. Throw the belt because he got too much of an ego and too much pride to kind of throw the damn thing away. So we had to do and I couldn't have done any of this if it hadn't been for Gerald Brisco. And all of a sudden, every eyeball in the room turned back and looked at me, And you know what, Connie? I just took wow, it's out now. So I walked out of the room immediately, and I to this day, I just owe these guys so much. The only two guys that really walked out with me, kind of stay around me, was Triple H and Kevin Nash. They both were like stuck to me like glue. And I gotta admit, I emotionally broke down when I got out of that room.
Wait, who else was there? Kevin Nash was in WCW at the time, so it was Hunter and who else?
Okay, what? Sean.
Yeah.
Kevin was gone. It was Hunter and Sean. They walked out with me, and I was so emotional. I broke down. I mean, I bawled for like 2 minutes. I mean, it was just that much, emotion and nervousness and just anticipation built up into me just to get it out. I felt so much better. And those two guys, I got to tell them, man, they stuck by my side all day long, because after it was out, of course, they're not going to pick on Vince. They're not going to jump on Vince, for something, it's going to be me. It's going to be my fault, And Brett had a lot of friends, as you know. And so, but they stuck with me, and I made sure I made it through the day okay. And I never will forget, the help that Paul and Sean gave me that day emotionally, and just knowing that they were at my side and watching out after me, because I didn't know. I could certainly take care of myself, but 2 or 3 guys jumpy, you never know what's going to happen. And we didn't know what was going to happen. So that's kind of the day, and the day went through. It was a stressful day, and that night, the 4 of us got in the car and went. We're flying out of Ottawa, so we didn't make the trip back to Montreal. So we were able to finally, have a beer and sit down and we never did laugh about it or joke about it, but we were able to the 4 of us were able to come back together and see each other's point of view.
I feel strongly that saving money is important. If it's not something we worry about now, boy, we are really going to worry about it later. And I want to help you get out of debt faster and do it with cheaper monthly payments. I'm talking to you if you're in a 30-year loan. Now is the time to take years off of your loan. We're routinely helping our listeners cut 5, 10, even 15 years off their loan. And you can do this without perfect credit, with no money out of pocket. You've just got to start at SaveWithConrad.com.
And then they were able to see why I had to keep it close to my vest for that 36, 48 hours. It was one of the most stressful times in my life. But I gotta admit it. The boss took care of me on that payoff. I was nearly choked in my seat when I opened up that envelope and saw the number of zeros on my check. So, but it was. I thought I earned every penny of it, to tell you the truth. But I called him and I thanked him, and he thanked me again. And he said, we'll forever be blamed for changing business. I said, man, we did the right thing, And the first thing I did when I got home was to go straight to my brother, and because by then the body shop number was pretty well known, with the Brisco Brothers Body Shop shirt that I wore all the time. That was the actual body shop number. So people were calling the body shop. My partner wanted to know because the phones were blowing up, and we were getting called. Even people answering the phone at the body shop were getting called every name in the book, and some of them they couldn't understand because they were French accents. So they knew they were coming from Canada. So about a week there, we were harassed at the shop just unmercifully. And my partner Travis, he was pretty upset. Taking care of business, and somebody called. They don't want to talk to the manager. You don't trust those damn Briscoes. They'll screw you just like they did that screw Hart. You're a bunch of assholes. Hang up on him. So it was a pretty hectic time, even for a week or so afterwards. But things started calming down. After a while, and after we got back in a routine. But it wasn't a walk in the park to say. It was a walk through hell for like 48 hours.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.